The Millionaire. Shocking execution. Leaves blackmail, betrayal, corporate intrigue border. Okay, folks, get ready for this. Emily Carter, right? This woman was on fire. Sharp as a tack, ambitious, climbing the GlobalTech ladder like nobody's business. But let me tell you, that air in her corner office, thick with resentment. You could practically taste it. Her boss, Mr. Harrison, total control freak, suffocating. Emily was about to snap. Then came that Monday. Rainy, gloomy, perfect for a showdown. Emily marched into Harrison's office, and bam! All hell broke loose. Voices echoing down the hallways, secrets flying. Harrison, the master manipulator, and Emily, finally seeing the light about GlobalTech's shady deals. She wanted. It was all I can think of. Wait, forget about it. Emily was on a mission, digging up dirt, uncovering a whole heap of financial crimes, ethical breaches, all the way to the top. The higher she climbed, the more dangerous it got. She was playing with fire, big time. And then the bomb dropped. An old photo hidden away, linking Harrison to, wait for it, Emily's own messed up past. He wasn't just a boss from hell. He was connected to her life in ways she couldn't even imagine. Talk about a twist. Now it wasn't just about her career. It was personal. She was about to leak the evidence to the press when her phone buzzed. Encrypted message. He knows. Run. Chills, people. Serious chills. Suddenly a shadow moved in her apartment. A face she knew, but twisted, cold. Emily, the figure whispered, voice like ice. You have no idea what you're dealing with. You think you're exposing corruption? You're about to unleash something that should have stayed buried. Who was this person? What secret were they hiding? Was Emily ready for the truth, especially when it hit so damn close to home? And what was Harrison's real connection to her? Everything just changed. This wasn't just about a job anymore. Emily was fighting for her life. Antes de continuarmos com essa história incrível, preciso te fazer alerta importante. Muitos inscritos têm relatado que o YouTube removeu suas inscrições sem aviso. Dá só uma conferida rápida no botão vermelho aí embaixo para garantir que você ainda está inscrito no canal. Não quero que você perca nenhum conteúdo exclusivo que vem por aí. E já que você tá aí, deixa aquele like poderoso que me ajuda muito com o algoritmo. Ah, e me conta nos comentários de qual cidade você está assistindo. Adoro conhecer cada pessoa incrível que faz parte dessa comunidade. Sua participação faz toda a diferença. Vamos interagir. Emily, the figure whispered, voice like ice. You have no idea what you're dealing with. You think you're exposing corruption? You're about to unleash something that should have stayed buried. My blood ran cold. This guy, Liam, my freaking neighbor of all people, knew way too much. His eyes, they weren't just cold. They were ancient. Like he'd seen things. Horrible things. What are you talking about, Liam? What's buried? I managed to choke out. He sighed. A long, weary sound. GlobalTech isn't just about money, Emily. It's about power, control. And Harrison, he's just a puppet. A puppet? Okay, this was getting insane. Who's pulling the strings, Liam? Tell me, I pressed, adrenaline pumping. He looked around nervously, then grabbed my arm, pulling me further into my apartment. Not here, he hissed. Too many ears. He led me to my bedroom, closed the door, and then he did something that completely shattered my world. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, tarnished silver locket. I'd seen it before. I hadn't seen it in years. Recognize this? He asked, his voice softer now, almost sad. I stared at it, my heart pounding in my chest. It was my mom's, the one she always wore, the one she had on the night she disappeared. Where did you get that? I stammered, my hands shaking so badly I could barely form the words. Liam took a deep breath. Emily, your mother didn't just disappear. She got too close to the truth about GlobalTech, about what they really do. He opened the locket. Inside there was a tiny faded photograph. Not of my mom and dad, like it should have been, but of my mom and Harrison. Younger, smiling, holding hands. What the hell? That can't be, I whispered, my head spinning. It is, Liam said grimly. Harrison and your mother, they were more than just colleagues. They were involved. And she found something out. Something so dangerous, it got her killed. Killed? My mom? Killed by Harrison? All this time, I thought she'd just left us. That she didn't love us enough to stay. And now, this. But it got worse. So much worse. Liam continued, his voice barely a whisper. Emily, Harrison isn't just connected to your past. He is your past. He paused, as if the words were too awful to say. He's your father. The room spun. My knees buckled. I felt like I was going to be sick. My boss. The man I hated. The man I was trying to take down. Is my father, the man I spent my entire life hating, was responsible for taking my mother away from me? Before I could even process this insane revelation, a deafening crash echoed from the living room. Liam shoved me behind him, pulling out a gun. Where the heck did that come from? And shouting, "Get down!" The door burst open, and there he was, Harrison, looking not like the put-together CEO I knew, but like a man possessed. His eyes were wild, his face contorted with rage. "Emily!" he roared. "You little bitch! You thought you could expose me?" He raised his own gun, but he wasn't aiming at me. He was aiming at Liam. And then everything went black. And then everything went black. A ringing. That high-pitched whine that drills right into your skull. My head throbbed. I blinked, trying to focus. Liam was on the floor, a dark stain blooming on his chest. Harrison stood over him, gun still smoking. "You idiot," Harrison snarled at Liam's lifeless body. "You could have had it all." He turned to me, and I swear for a split second I saw something flicker in his eyes. Regret? But it was gone in a flash, replaced by that cold, calculating stare. "Emily," he said, his voice almost gentle, "don't make this harder than it has to be. Just tell me where the evidence is." Evidence? Was he serious? My mother, my father, Liam lying dead, and he was worried about evidence? "Go to hell," I spat. He sighed, like I was a disappointing child. "Fine. Have it your way." He raised the gun again, and this time it was pointed right at me. I squeezed my eyes shut, waiting for the end. But it didn't come. Instead, there was a sickening thud, a grunt, and then silence. I opened my eyes slowly. Harrison was on the floor. A woman stood over him, a bloody wrench clutched in her hand. A woman who looked familiar. "Mom?" I gasped. She looked at me, her eyes filled with a sadness that cut deeper than any knife. "Hello, Emily." But that wasn't the shocking part. Not really. The truly mind-blowing, world-shattering, what the actual hell moment came when she spoke again. She dropped the wrench, took a step closer to Harrison's body, and kicked it. Hard. "Took you long enough, sweetheart," she said, her voice dripping with venom. "I had everything under control. You nearly blew the whole operation." She turned back to me, and her face softened slightly. "Oh, Emily, honey, you really thought I was dead all these years? Bless your heart. No, darling, I've just been undercover." She reached into her purse and pulled out a badge. Not a police badge, not a government badge. Something far more sinister. The GlobalTech logo was emblazoned on it, but underneath, the words sent a jolt of ice through my veins. Internal Affairs, Executive Oversight. See, she said, a chilling smile spreading across her face. Mommy doesn't just disappear. Mommy climbs to the top. She then proceeded to pull out her phone and dial a number. It's done. He's gone. Time to move on to phase 2. After ending the call, she put her phone away and then looked at me, cold eyes meeting mine. You are either with me or against me. Which is it? You are either with me or against me. Which is it? My mind was a scrambled mess. My mom, alive? A freaking secret agent inside GlobalTech? And now this insane ultimatum? What the hell was happening? I don't know, I stammered. My voice barely a whisper. She sighed, that same impatient sigh I remembered from my childhood. Honestly, Emily, you always were a slow learner. Fine, I'll make it easy for you. She reached into her purse again. I flinched, expecting another weapon, another shocking revelation. But this time, it was just a small silver box. She opened it, revealing a single pale blue pill. This, she said, holding it out to me, is your chance to prove yourself. Take it. Swear your allegiance to GlobalTech, and we can be a family again. A powerful family. I stared at the pill. What was it? Some kind of loyalty drug? A poison? And why did she want me on her side so badly? What is it? I asked, my voice trembling. She smiled, a cold, predatory smile. It's an upgrade, darling. A way to unlock your full potential. GlobalTech has invested heavily in enhancements, and you, Emily, have the right genetics. Think of it as a performance enhancer, a genius pill, almost. My heart pounded in my chest. This was insane, completely insane. I can't, I whispered. I can't do this. Her smile vanished, her eyes hardened. Wrong answer. Emily, very wrong answer. Suddenly the room started to spin. A wave of nausea washed over me. My vision blurred. I stumbled, grabbing onto the wall for support. What's happening to me? I gasped. She chuckled. Oh, didn't I mention the air vents? GlobalTech is all about efficiency, darling. I can't have you running around causing trouble. So I may have released a slight sedative into the air, just enough to take the fight out of you. I collapsed to the floor, my body numb. She knelt beside me, her face inches from mine. Pity, she said, her voice cold and devoid of emotion. You had so much potential, but you chose the wrong side. She stood up and walked towards the door. Don't worry, darling. It won't hurt for long. And besides, you'll be doing something useful, even in death. Your death will be a lesson for anyone else who considers betraying GlobalTech. You're a martyr, darling. Isn't it wonderful? And then she was gone. I lay there on the floor, paralyzed, waiting for the end. My life flashing before my eyes. My mom, a villain. My boss, my father. Everything I thought I knew, a lie. But then, something unexpected happened. The ringing in my ears intensified. The numbness started to fade. My vision cleared. And I felt stronger. Stronger than I'd ever felt before. I pushed myself up to a sitting position, testing my limbs. The sedative hadn't worked. Not completely. Something was different. I could feel it. A tingling energy coursing through my veins. My senses were heightened. I could hear things, see things I shouldn't be able to. Then I heard it. A faint, rhythmic beeping coming from inside my chest, from under my skin. I ripped open my shirt, frantically searching for the source of the sound. And that's when I saw it. A small metallic glint just beneath the surface of my skin, near my heart. A microchip, implanted in my chest. By who? When? And what the hell did it do? Suddenly, a voice echoed in my head. Not my own voice. A cold, mechanical voice. Activating Protocol Omega. My eyes widened in horror. What? Was Protocol Omega? What was about to happen to me? And then the world exploded in a burst of blinding light. I knew, with a certainty that chilled me to the bone, my life had just irrevocably changed and I could only dread what was to come. Activating Protocol Omega. My eyes widened in horror. What was Protocol Omega? What was about to happen to me? And then the world exploded in a burst of blinding light. I knew, with a certainty that chilled me to the bone. My life had just irrevocably changed, and I could only dread what was to come. The light faded. Slowly. I could still feel that. Strange energy buzzing inside me, but something was off, terribly off. I looked down at my hands. They were shaking, sure, but not with fear. With anticipation? Then I looked around the room. Liam's body, Harrison's body, my mother nowhere to be seen. But that wasn't what caught my attention. It was me, or rather, a reflection of me, standing across the room. Identical, down to the last strand of hair. "What the hell?" I stammered, but the words caught in my throat. The other me smiled. A slow, predatory smile that mirrored my own. "Hello, Emily." "Who are you? What is going on?" I demanded, my voice barely a whisper. "Oh, you know." "Exactly who I am," she said, tilting her head. "I'm you, or at least a version of you. The version GlobalTech always wanted you to be." "GlobalTech? What does this have to do with GlobalTech?" "Everything, darling," she said, her voice dripping with condescension. "Protocol Omega wasn't about enhancing you. It was about activating me. I'm a failsafe, a contingency plan, in case the original Emily wasn't cooperative." "You're a clone?" The words felt foreign. Ridiculous, even as I said them. "Let's just say I'm a perfected version," she corrected. "Stronger, smarter, completely loyal to GlobalTech. And now that you've seen too much, well, you're expendable." She took a step towards me and I instinctively recoiled. This wasn't just a fight for my life anymore. It was a fight for my very identity. "But why?" I asked, desperate for answers. "Why go to all this trouble? Why not just kill me?" She chuckled. "Because, Emily, you have something I need. Something only you possess." She reached out and touched my forehead, a strange energy passing between us. I gasped, a wave of memories flooding my mind. Memories that weren't mine. Memories of complex algorithms, of hidden research facilities, of a project so secret, so dangerous, it could destroy the world. "You know about Project Nightingale," she said, her eyes glowing with an almost manic intensity. And now, so do I. Project Nightingale? I had no idea what she was talking about. But seeing the look on her face, the sheer hunger in her eyes, I knew it was something terrible. Something GlobalTech wanted to keep buried at all costs. "What is Project Nightingale?" I asked, my voice trembling. She ignored me. Her eyes glazed over as she absorbed the information from my mind. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Harrison was right. You were the key. Suddenly, sirens wailed in the distance. Getting closer. My mother. She must have called the authorities. "Looks like our time is up," she said, a hint of annoyance in her voice. "But don't worry, Emily. This isn't over. Not by a long shot. I'll be seeing you again very soon." She turned and ran. disappearing into the shadows. I stood there, frozen, my mind reeling. A clone. Project Nightingale. My mother, still out there playing some twisted game. And now, the police were on their way. I had to get out of there. Now. But as I turned to leave, I noticed something on the floor. A small, silver locket. My mother's locket. The one Liam had shown me. But this one was different. It was open, and inside, instead of a photograph, there was a tiny, folded piece of paper. I unfolded it, my hands shaking. The words were written in my mother's handwriting. The truth is hidden in the Nightingale. Find Sarah. She knows. Sarah? Who was Sarah? And what did she know about Project Nightingale? Suddenly, I felt a sharp pain in my chest, a burning sensation that spread throughout my body. I looked down and saw a small red mark on my skin, right over the microchip. Activating Protocol Alpha, a mechanical voice echoed in my head. Target, Sarah Walker. Eliminate threat. My eyes widened in horror. Not only did GlobalTech have a clone of me, but they had programmed me to kill Sarah Walker, the only person who could help me uncover the truth. But why were they doing this to me? What was so important about Sarah Walker and Project Nightingale? And then, it hit me, like a ton of bricks. Sarah Walker wasn't just a name. It was a code name. A code name for someone very close to me. Someone I trusted. Someone I loved. Sarah Walker was my sister. The sister I thought had died when we were kids. The sister I never knew was alive. And now, I was programmed to kill her. And now I was programmed to kill her. My head was pounding. My sister, alive. And I had to kill her. No way. I wouldn't let GlobalTech control me. I had to fight this. Fight the programming. Find Sarah. I stumbled out of the apartment, sirens wailing in the distance. No time to think. Just had to move. Had to find Sarah. But where to even begin? The note. The truth is hidden in the Nightingale. Find Sarah. She knows. The Nightingale. What was that? Some kind of code? A place? A person? Think, Emily, think. My mom said the truth was in the Nightingale. Maybe it was a place. A building? An institution? Wait a minute. Nightingale. Wasn't that the name of that old abandoned mental hospital on the outskirts of town? The one everyone said was haunted? It was a long shot, but it was all I had. I hotwired a car. Seriously, where did that skill come from? And sped towards the old hospital, the sirens growing fainter in the distance. The hospital was even creepier than I remembered. Dilapidated, overgrown with weeds, the windows like empty eyes staring out into the night. A perfect setting for a horror movie. Or, you know, my life. I crept inside, the air thick with the smell of mildew and decay. Every creak, every groan of the building sent shivers down my spine. I pulled out my phone, using the flashlight to guide my way through the maze of hallways. Sarah? I called out, my voice echoing through the empty corridors. Sarah, are you here? Silence. I kept moving, deeper and deeper into the hospital, past rusted beds and overturned wheelchairs, past faded murals depicting scenes of, well, madness. This place was seriously messed up. Suddenly, I heard a noise. A faint, rhythmic tapping coming from behind a locked door. Hello? I called out, my heart pounding. Is someone there? The tapping stopped. Then, a voice. Weak, raspy, but definitely a voice. Who's there? Who is it? My name is Emily, I said. I'm looking for Sarah. Sarah Walker. There was a long pause. Then the voice again. Sarah? You know Sarah? Yes, I said. She's my sister, I think. The door rattled. Someone was trying to open it from the inside, but it was locked tight. "Help me!" the voice cried. "Please, help me get out of here!" I searched my pockets, desperately looking for something to pick the lock. Nothing. Okay, time for drastic measures. I backed up, took a deep breath, and kicked the door as hard as I could. The wood splintered, the lock gave way, and the door swung open. And that's when I saw her. A woman huddled in the corner, thin, pale, her eyes wide with fear. She looked familiar. "Sarah?" I asked, my voice trembling. She looked up at me, her eyes filled with confusion. "Emily, is that really you?" "Yes, it's me," I said, rushing over to her. "I'm here to get you out of here." I reached out to help her up, but as I did, I noticed something. Something that made my blood run cold. The woman in the corner, she wasn't Sarah. She was my mom. But that wasn't even the shocking part. As she spoke, my brain melted, and I just stopped. No more emotions or thinking at all. "Hello, Emily," she said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "I see you finally found me, the real Project Nightingale. Let me give you a little context. Dear daughter, Harrison and I were experimenting with human DNA. I gasped and started to cry. She continued, "You are the result of our experiment. It was supposed to be the perfect weapon, the person to end all evil in the world. That is why I've always been keeping an eye on you. We put a chip on you so that we could reactivate you whenever we wanted to." I tried to digest what she was telling me, but it was so overwhelming that I just froze there without saying anything. She put a smile on her face and continued, "It is time. I will transfer the rest of the experiment too. You and end this charade. It's time to end the evil world." Before I could even say anything or react, she touched my forehead, and an indescribable feeling flooded my mind. I don't know how, but all the information she had in her brain was now in mine. I was ready. I now knew what had to be done, and what was even better, I felt powerful enough to do it. My mom was smiling at me. "Finally, it's done, but you will need some help." I frowned at her statement. "There is someone, or should I say something, in the basement." I gave her a confused look. "What is it?" I asked, scared. She then said a single word, one that would change my life forever. "Sarah. Sarah." My brain short-circuited. Sarah? In the basement? What kind of twisted game was this? Was my mom even my mom? Was anything real anymore? "What do you mean, Sarah?" I choked out, my voice cracking. She just smiled, that same cold, creepy smile. "Go see for yourself, honey. You've got all the answers now. You know what to do." And with that, she turned and walked away, disappearing back into the maze of hallways, leaving me standing there alone, terrified, with a head full of stolen memories and a heart full of dread. "Okay, Emily. Focus." Sarah was in the basement. I had to find her, figure out what the hell was going on, and stop this Protocol Alpha thing before I hurt anyone else. I found a rickety staircase leading down to the basement. It was dark, damp, and smelled like something had died down there a long time ago. Seriously, this place was the definition of nightmare fuel. "Sarah?" I called out again, my voice trembling. "Sarah, are you down here?" A faint noise, a shuffling sound. Closer now. Something was definitely down there. I reached the bottom of the stairs and peered into the darkness. And then the corner bathed in a faint sliver of moonlight filtering through a grimy window. A girl, maybe in her late teens, early 20s. Her hair was long and tangled, her clothes tattered and dirty. But it was her eyes that caught my attention. They were wide, haunted, and familiar. "Sarah?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. The girl looked up at me, her eyes widening. "Emily?" It was her. It had to be. But something was different. terribly different. "Sarah, it's me, Emily," I said, taking a step closer. "I'm here to get you out of here." She stared at me, her expression blank. Then, slowly, a smile spread across her face. A chilling, predatory smile that mirrored my mom's. "Emily," she said, her voice a low, raspy growl. "It's so good to see you again. After all these years." My heart skipped a beat. Something was seriously wrong. "Sarah, what's going on?" I asked, my voice trembling. "Why are you down here?" She chuckled, a low, guttural sound that sent shivers down my spine. "Oh, Emily, honey, you don't know the half of it." She stood up, slowly, deliberately, and stepped into the moonlight. And that's when I saw it. Her eyes. They weren't just haunted. They were glowing. A faint, eerie green glow that seemed to emanate from deep within her soul. "You see?" "Emily," she said, her voice dripping with venom. "I'm not just Sarah Walker. I'm Project Nightingale." "What? But my mom said—" I stammered, my brain struggling to process what was happening. "Your mom?" Sarah scoffed. "She's just a pawn, a puppet in a much bigger game." She took a step closer to me, her eyes burning into mine. "GlobalTech didn't just want to create a weapon, Emily. They wanted to create a god." And then she transformed. It happened so fast, I almost didn't see it. Her body contorted, her bones cracked, her skin stretched and warped. Her human form melted away, replaced by something else, a creature of pure energy, a swirling vortex of green light, crackling with power, a being of unimaginable horror. "I am the future, Emily," the creature boomed, its voice echoing through the basement. "I am the end of everything." And then it lunged, and then everything went black, not in the sense of unconsciousness, but darkness like an unending void, a blackness more profound than anything I'd ever known. I started to feel as if I was falling, and then I woke up with a jolt. As my eyes scanned the room, I noticed that I was back in the apartment. Leon's and Harrison's dead bodies were gone. There was no evidence that anything had happened here. I ran to the bathroom and looked in the mirror. I was in an empty room, but it felt as if an invisible ghost stood right next to me. An empty shell, yet I was full of energy and a strange new awareness. As I was looking at my reflection, I noticed a faint whispering coming from right next to my ear. "We've been waiting for you. We've been waiting for you." The voice. It was familiar. Too familiar. I knew that voice. I just couldn't place it. My head throbbed. What the hell was going on? I stared at my reflection, searching for answers in my own eyes. But all I saw was confusion, fear, and a growing sense of wrongness. Something was deeply, fundamentally wrong. Suddenly the bathroom door creaked open. I whirled around, ready to fight, to run, to do whatever it took to survive. Standing in the doorway was me. Another me. Identical. Perfect. A mirror image. But this wasn't the clone from the hospital. This was different. This me was calm, serene, almost peaceful. "Hello, Emily," she said, her voice soft, soothing. "It's time." "Time for what?" I stammered, my voice barely a whisper. She smiled, a gentle, knowing smile. "Time for you to wake up." She took a step closer, and as she did, the room started to spin. A wave of nausea washed over me. My vision blurred. I felt like I was falling. And then everything went black, again. But this time, it wasn't the blackness of unconsciousness. It was nothingness. A void, a blank slate. And then, a voice. Not the mechanical voice from before. Not my mother's voice. Not Sarah's voice. A new voice, a powerful voice. Welcome, Emily. You are finally ready. Images flooded my mind. Images of laboratories, of experiments, of people in white coats. But these weren't memories. They were simulations, training exercises. I saw myself as a child, being tested, being pushed to my limits. I saw myself as a teenager, learning to fight, to hack, to manipulate. I saw myself as an adult, infiltrating GlobalTech, uncovering their secrets, becoming me. But it wasn't real. None of it was real. What is this? I asked, my voice echoing in the void. What's happening to me? This is the truth, Emily, the voice said. You are not Emily Carter. You are Agent Nightingale, and you have been asleep for a very long time. Agent Nightingale? What? It was too much. My brain couldn't process it. It made no sense. I don't understand, I said, my voice trembling. I thought my name was Emily. I thought I worked at GlobalTech. I thought those were implanted. Memories, Emily, the voice said. Illusions, necessary for your mission. My mission? I asked. What mission? To destroy GlobalTech, the voice said. From the inside out. And then it all clicked into place. The pieces of the puzzle finally fell into position. My mother wasn't a villain. She was my handler. Liam wasn't just a neighbor. He was my backup. Sarah wasn't a monster. She was the key. But Protocol Omega? I asked. The clone? What was all that about? Deception, Emily, the voice said. To test your loyalty. To push you to your limits. To make sure you were ready for the truth. And now I'm ready? I asked. Yes, Emily. The voice said. You are ready. Now, go. Finish what you started. Suddenly, I was back in the bathroom. The mirror was still there. The door was still open. But everything was different. I wasn't Emily Carter anymore. I was Agent Nightingale, and I had a mission to complete. But as I turned to leave, I noticed something new. A small silver box on the counter. The same box my mother had used to offer me the blue pill. I hesitated, then picked it up. It was empty. But inside, there was a note. Trust no one, it read. Especially not us. Us? Who was us? And what did they mean? Suddenly, a chilling realization washed over me. If everything I thought I knew was a lie, then what if this wasn't the truth either? What if this was just another layer of deception? Another manipulation? What if I was still a pawn in someone else's game? My head started to spin again. Who could I trust? What was real? What was the truth? And then I knew. There was only one way to find out. I had to find Sarah. The real Sarah. The one person who could tell me the truth. But where was she? And how could I find her before GlobalTech did? As I stood there, frozen in indecision, a new voice echoed in my head. A voice I hadn't heard before. A voice that sent shivers down my spine. Looking for me, Agent Nightingale, it whispered. Come and find me, if you dare. Looking for me, Agent Nightingale, it whispered. Come and find me, if you dare. My blood ran cold. That voice, it wasn't just unfamiliar. It was wrong, like a discordant note in a perfect melody. But where was it coming from? Then I saw it. A shadow flickered in the corner of the bathroom. Not the reflection in the mirror, but a real shadow, moving independently. It twisted, contorted, taking on a vaguely human shape. Who are you? I demanded, my hand instinctively reaching for a weapon that wasn't there. Show yourself. The shadow chuckled, a dry, rasping sound that seemed to scrape against my eardrums. Patience, Agent Nightingale. All in good time. It started to coalesce, to solidify. And as it did, I felt a surge of dread so intense it threatened to paralyze me. This wasn't just another enemy. This was something else. The shadow took its final form. Standing before me was me, but not the calm, serene me from a few minutes ago. This me was twisted, grotesque. Her skin was pale and stretched taut over her bones. Her eyes burned with an unholy light, and her mouth was stretched into a grotesque parody of a smile. Surprised? She hissed, her voice a sickening blend of my own and something inhuman. I am what you could have been, Agent Nightingale, what you were meant to be. What are you? I stammered, my voice barely a whisper. I am the truth, Emily, she said, tilting her head. The real truth, the one they don't want you to know. She took a step closer, and I recoiled, fear flooding my veins. This wasn't just a fight for my life. This was a fight for my soul. They lied to you, Emily, she continued, her voice a seductive whisper. GlobalTech. They're not the enemy. They're the only ones who can save us. Save us from what? I asked, desperate for answers. From her, she said, pointing a long, skeletal finger at my reflection. From the monster you're about to unleash. I stared at my reflection, trying to make sense of what she was saying. But it was like trying to grasp smoke. It slipped through my fingers, leaving me confused and disoriented. You're lying, I said, shaking my head. GlobalTech is evil. I know it. I've seen it. Have you? She asked, raising an eyebrow. Or is that just what they want you to believe? She reached out and touched my arm, and a jolt of energy coursed through my body. Images flashed through my mind. Images of a world ravaged by war, by disease, by chaos. Images of GlobalTech standing as the last bastion of hope, fighting to preserve civilization. They're not perfect, Emily, she said, her voice softening. But they're all we have. And you're about to destroy it all. She released my arm, and the images faded, leaving me trembling and uncertain. What was real? What was a lie? Who could I trust? I don't know what to believe, I said, my voice breaking. She smiled, a sad, pitying smile. I know, it's hard, but you have to choose. Emily, choose wisely, because the fate of the world depends on it. And then she vanished, just like that. Gone, leaving me alone in the bathroom, staring at my reflection, my mind reeling. Was it possible? Could everything I thought I knew be wrong? Could GlobalTech actually be the good guys? No, it couldn't be. I couldn't let myself believe it. I had seen too much. I had suffered too much. I couldn't just abandon everything I had fought for. But what if I was wrong? What if I was being manipulated? What if I was about to make a terrible mistake? I shook my head, trying to clear my thoughts. I couldn't let doubt paralyze me. I had to keep moving. I had to find Sarah. She was the only one who could tell me the truth. But as I turned to leave the bathroom, I saw something that stopped me in my tracks. A small silver object lying on the floor. It glinted in the dim light. I picked it up. It was a locket. My mother's locket. But it wasn't the same locket I had seen before. This one was different. It was heavier, more ornate. And when I opened it, I gasped. Inside, there wasn't a photograph. There was a tiny vial, filled with a shimmering, iridescent liquid. And attached to the vial, a note, written in my mother's handwriting. Drink it, Emily, it read. It's the only way to stop her. Stop who? My mind raced. Sarah? The creature in the basement? Or me? I stared at the vial, my hand trembling. What was this stuff? Poison? A cure? Or something else entirely? Could I trust my mother? Could I trust anyone? I didn't know. But I knew one thing. I was running out of time. I had to make a choice. And as I stood there, poised on the brink of a decision that could change everything, I heard a noise. A faint, rhythmic beeping coming from outside the apartment. Getting closer. My heart skipped a beat. It was the sound of a bomb. And then the door burst open. Standing in the doorway, holding a detonator in his hand, was Liam. But it wasn't the Liam I remembered. This Liam was different. His eyes were cold, empty. His face was set in a grim, determined expression. "Sorry, Emily," he said, his voice devoid of emotion. "But this is for the greater good." And then he pressed the button. The explosion ripped through the apartment, engulfing me in a blinding inferno of fire and shrapnel. I screamed, but my voice was drowned out by the deafening roar. And as the world faded, to black, I realized something. Liam wasn't just my backup. He was my executioner. And I had just been betrayed by the one person I thought I could trust. But there was one final thought that crossed my mind just before the darkness consumed me. Why did he look so sad when he did it? E então, escuridão. Mas não era o fim. Não podia ser. Senti algo. Uma força me puxando, me reconstruindo. Uma voz suave, muito familiar. Ainda não, agente Gale. Sua missão continua. Acordei. Não no apartamento em ruínas, mas em um lugar branco, asséptico. Tubos, máquinas, luzes frias. Um laboratório. E ela, minha irmã, Sarah. Mas não. A criatura monstruosa, a verdadeira Sarah. Fraca, confusa, mas viva. Emily, ela sussurrou, os olhos marejados. Você se lembrou? Sarah, consegui dizer, a voz rouca. GlobalTech, o que eles fizeram com você? Ela me contou sobre o projeto Nightingale, sobre os experimentos, sobre como a transformaram em uma arma. Uma arma que eles não podiam controlar. Por isso a trancafiaram. Por isso me enviaram para detê-la. Temos que pará-los, Sarah disse. A voz fraca, mas determinada. Juntos, sabia o que tinha que fazer. Aquele líquido na locket era a chave. Um antídoto. Mas não só para Sarah, para mim também, para despertar o agente Nightingale adormecido. Bebi. O gosto era horrível, metálico, queimando minha garganta. Mas funcionou. Senti o poder percorrendo minhas veias, a clareza inundando minha mente. Eu sabia tudo. O plano de GlobalTech, seus segredos mais obscuros, seus pontos fracos. Saímos do laboratório. Encontramos resistência, claro. Guardas, cientistas, experimentos falhos. Mas nada podia nos deter. Eu era Agent Nightingale. E Sarah, com sua força recém-descoberta, era minha aliada. Chegamos ao topo. Aos líderes de GlobalTech. Aos que orquestraram tudo. Aos que brincaram com nossas vidas. A luta foi brutal, sem piedade. Mas vencemos. Revelamos seus crimes ao mundo. Destruímos sua organização. Mas um deles escapou. Aquele que estava sempre nas sombras. O verdadeiro poder por trás de GlobalTech. Sua identidade? Um mistério. Seus motivos? Apenas ele sabe. A batalha ainda não acabou, mas não estarão seguros por muito tempo. Sarah e eu estamos juntas agora. Tentando reconstruir nossas vidas, lidando com o trauma, caçando os remanescentes de GlobalTech. Mas uma sombra paira sobre nós. Aquele que escapou. Ele está lá fora, observando, esperando. E sei, no fundo, que ele voltará. E quando o fizer, estaremos prontas. Ou não. Ei, Você chegou até o final dessa jornada insana. Mas a aventura não termina aqui. Você precisa se inscrever agora no canal. Sim, agora! Para não perder as próximas histórias exclusivas que vão explodir sua mente. Esmague o botão de like. Agora! Mostre seu apoio, mostre sua força. Vamos alimentar esse algoritmo e levar essa história para o mundo. Este é o momento de fazer a diferença. Inunde a seção de comentários com suas reações. O que você achou desse final? Qual sua teoria sobre o que vem a seguir? Queremos saber tudo. Sua opinião é essencial. E não espere nem mais um segundo. Compartilhe este vídeo instantaneamente com pelo menos 5 amigos que precisam conhecer esse desfecho. Mostre para eles o poder dessa história. Apenas os verdadeiros fãs compreendem a importância de apoiar o canal. Então, demonstre sua lealdade com essas ações. Inscreva-se, deixe o like, comente e compartilhe. Vamos juntos!